All right, guys, welcome to part 2 of the Chalk Bucket, where we're talking larger ideas of what we're trying to do at the gym. So I thought it might be helpful to present a diagram that sort of describes our health and wellness and our fitness. So obviously, if everybody's got the priorities hopefully in order, health and wellness is sort of the big picture. Fitness is part of that overall bubble. The objective with CrossFit is to fill in that health and wellness bubble with as much fitness as we possibly can. And the promise of CrossFit and what we're trying to deliver is broad modal fitness, which basically means, can you be very powerful or strong in short amounts of time, or do you have the ability to do things for long distances and produce power over long amounts of time? Now, what gets lost sometimes is that sometimes our preoccupation with the value of intensity or the perception of what is and isn't a good workout pushes this fitness bubble to the point of injury. And obviously, I don't need to redraw a diagram to point out what that leads to. If you get injured, if you get sick, if the fitness, the thing that you're chasing, winds up being the thing that destroys your health and wellness, well, your health and wellness box just got smaller, and the road to recovery with your fitness will probably see some of the same. That will get smaller, and that's really nobody's objective. Yet stubbornness sometimes can get in the way of that. Now, one of the things that we've seen in the CrossFit market space, and we certainly have been very guilty of practicing this for a long time, is if you look at the general skills of fitness, of balanced fitness, there's 10 of them. And the first 4 are things that are very measurable. Cardiorespiratory endurance, stamina, flexibility. Flexibility, the way that CrossFitters sort of look at it is, can your joint go through a full range of motion, and therefore does it equal a rep? So that's how it's most relevant to us. And finally, strength. So those are all things that are very easy for us to wrap our heads and our experiences around. What is way more difficult for us to find value in, and way more difficult to experience and process, is the skills on the opposite end of this sort of teeter-totter. The skills of coordination, agility, balance, and accuracy. Now, unfortunately, these things are next to impossible to measure. I'm really proud to say that we're one of the first gyms that I know of that's figuring out ways to make some of these things measurable in the context of overall fitness. Now, I'll admit it's not perfect, and I'll also admit that our coaching of it is far from perfect as well, but we're endeavoring to clean that up as much as possible. Now, what everybody needs to know is that even if this stuff is not really that exciting to you, physiologically, this stuff is required for you to improve all these 4 elements of your fitness. And what I'd like to point out is the road to pathology, the road to injury, the road to sickness, and the road to burnout is overstimulation in these areas explicitly. In other words, your work capacity. We'd love to get buried in workouts. That's one thing we can all agree on. We like the intensity. But the intensity for intensity's sake will lead to, eventually, a bursting of this bubble. It's basically not very balanced. The teeter-totter goes that way. How do I know? We've hurt people over the years. That is not the intent. The intent at this point is to keep people balanced as possible. And what we're trying to do is deliver on the original thought, which is 10 skills of fitness. If you keep this teeter-totter working well, speed and power, the sweet spot in the middle will be measurable and sustainable for a very long time. That is our intent. The road to understanding this requires patience and discipline from students and from coaches, and people's willingness to be a little bit experimental when it comes to this. We are making mistakes as we introduce these things, but we're doing our best to kick ass and making this teeter-totter one that's not skewed, because that's a gym that I don't want to lead, and nor do our coaches. And hopefully, y'all will be along for the ride. Love you guys very dearly, and I really fucking mean it. Hang in there.